Great. So let's get ourselves sitting up straight. So just adjusting your position, gently closing the eyes if you feel safe to do so. And we will start this meditation on the throat chakra with 7 Brahmari breaths. So first of all, before you start, take a couple of deep sighing breaths in through the nose and out through the mouth like a sigh. Just an audible sigh, just to get you ready for this sound that is to come, and also to stretch the lungs a little bit. So take a few of these breaths in through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time for luck. And then allowing yourself to settle into your seat. Allow the mind to come to the breath. And when you're ready, placing your thumbs over your ears and your fingers over your eyes. Now you won't be able to hear me, but 7 exhales. We're going to hum. When you're ready, just begin. And observing the silence, following your Brahmari, keeping your awareness inside. We'll now chant Hum 108 times. We'll start with one long Om together, and then we'll begin the hum. Taking a deep breath in, and breathe out completely. And then the next breath in is for Om. Hum, 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 hum. Gradually getting ready to come out of your meditation, you can drop your chin down towards your chest. Just allow the head to hang heavy and allow the throat and the neck to completely relax. Maybe rocking the head from side to side, just releasing any tension in the neck and throat area. These are your areas you're going to be using this week to bring your truth through. And then when you're ready, you can come out of the meditation however you feel. You can wiggle the fingers, wiggle the toes, have a good stretch, have a good yawn or a sighing breath.